Hey, what is up, guys? My name is Joel, and today we'll be creating a Reddit clone. So, you guys already probably know this application where you can create posts, comments, and see different topics um, in this application. So, we'll be building an application that implements all these features. So, let's start off by creating a new project. So, I'm gonna create a blank solution. So, it's gonna be Post Manager, the name of the application. And here we're gonna start off by adding the source folder, and this application will be using the Clean Architecture. So we're gonna have four layers. It's gonna be the API, domain, um, application core, and infrastructure. And we'll also be adding domain driven design with CQRS. So let's start off by creating the four projects. So I'm gonna start off by creating the domain project. So it's gonna be post manager dot domain. I'm gonna add this to the folder source, and it's gonna be .NET 8. Okay, perfect. Let me add the other three. So it's gonna be, this one's gonna be the application core. So it's gonna be post manager dot application core, also inside the source folder. Okay. Now let's add the infrastructure layer. Infrastructure. Oops. Okay, infrastructure. And inside source 2. And now let's add the API project. Post manager. Oops, my bad. It's not application. It's not the class library. It's a web API. Sorry, guys. So it's gonna be post manager API. Okay, and also inside the source folder. Okay, so this will be our root project. So we have our post manager, and here we have our different projects: API, application core, domain, and infrastructure. So we're gonna start off by working in the domain project. So since we're gonna implement this feature where we can create posts and add comments, we will probably, as you guys already guessed it, have at least two entities, which will be the post and the comment. So we can just create two folders. So comments and another folder called posts. But before I start to implement these two entities, or in this case aggregates, I still need to create three base entities, because since we'll be using domain driven design, I'm gonna need to have a base class called value object. I don't know if you guys remember, in the previous video I already explained what is a value object, but in the simple terms, so you guys can think value object has a box containing a number, like 5 for example, and once we put that number into a box, it says 5 forever. We can't open the box and change it to a different number. So this is the benefit of using value object. So instead of just using a variable, in this case a regular variable, we'll be using value objects, because value objects are great and they can help us keep our code clean and prevent mistakes. And they are also immutable, so we can trust that their value won't change unexpectedly. So normally in domain-driven design, you can use value objects for example, for address, price, and also for the IDs of the aggregates. So let's start off by creating a new folder called common. I'm going to create another folder called models. So inside here I will have the base entities, which will be the value object, entity, and entity ID, and others that I might use while I'm creating the other aggregates. So I'm gonna create the value object first. So it's gonna be value object. Okay, so I'm gonna copy here the value object, so I don't need to add type it manually again. So it's gonna be value object here. So this is pretty much the entity. In this case, the class value object. Okay. Now we'll be creating the entity ID, because this base class will also use the value object, and we'll use it to so our main IDs inherit from this entity ID. So it's going to be like this. Okay, and now we're going to add the base entity. So it's going to be entity, and it also will use the, or in this case, inherit from the value object. So I'm gonna put here and like this. Okay, so we already have, oops, sorry, it's missing a bracket. Okay, so this is pretty much our 3 base classes that we'll be using. And every time we want to create a new entity, or in this case aggregate, it will inherit from this entity, and the ID of that aggregate will inherit from the entity ID. Okay, so let's start off by creating our post aggregate. So inside the folder post, I'm going to create a new class called post. Okay, nice. Okay, and inside post I need to use, so this post will be an entity, so I'm gonna already inherit from entity. Okay, but I need entity ID, and it needs to inherit from the value object. So I'm gonna create a new folder inside post called value objects, and here I'm gonna create the post ID. Post ID, nice. Okay, so this will inherit from the entity ID, and this will be a GUID. Okay, like this, nice. And here I'm gonna create the constructor, so it's gonna be a private constructor, and here I will receive the value, and here base value. Okay, nice. In here, I'm gonna create 2 factory methods to create, in this case, to generate the post ID, because I want the creation of this post ID to be handled here. So I'm gonna create a new static method called public static post ID create. Okay, and I will receive a GUID and return a new post ID. So if you want to, if in the application you want to use a post ID and we have a GUID already, we can pass it through here. But if we want to generate automatically for us, I can create a new method called public static post ID create unique, for example, and here I'm gonna return a new post ID, and the GUID will be GUID.new GUID. Okay, perfect. Like this. Nice. So this is pretty much what we need. So now I'm going to my post again, and I'm going to put here post ID, which will be our ID for this entity post. And now I can create the properties of a post. So for example, I can create a property called title. It's going to be private set because it's going to handle this entity change inside our post. And I can create the description of the post. Okay, nice. I think for now this is fine. And here we're gonna add the constructor. So this is gonna be a private constructor because I want to handle the creation of this object here, because I'm gonna have another static method that will handle the creation of the post. And here I'm gonna receive the title. So it's gonna be, wait, before that I'm gonna receive the post ID, title, and the description. And here I'm gonna set base ID like this. Okay, and here inside I'm gonna set title equals title and description equals description. Okay. I also need to create a public static factory to create this post. So I'm gonna also do the same. So it's gonna be a public static create post. Create and here I'm gonna pass the string title and string description. In here I'm gonna return a new post. In here I'm gonna set post id dot create unique and pass the other properties like this. So with this we handle the creation of the post here. So the user will not the user, but in the application layer, when I will create a new post, I will call this method. It's going to be post.create. In here, I will pass the properties, title and description to create the post object. Okay, so we also need to create the methods to change the state of the properties. So I'm going to create a new public void set title. And here I'm going to pass the title, and I'm going to create another method called set description, like this. Okay, perfect. So I also don't want this post class to be inherited by other classes. I'm going to put it a sealed class. Okay, and I'm also going to create an empty constructor because I want to entity framework to use this class to save in the database, and it requires to have a private constructor to work, so I can leave it like this. Okay, I think it's for now it's okay. And I'm going to the comment. So I'm going to create a new class called comment, and we're also going to repeat the same steps that we did for the post. So I'm going to create a folder called value objects. And inside value object, I'm also going to create a new class called comment ID. And let me go to the posts, and I'm also going to copy and then change the name, so I don't need to type it all over again. Okay, instead of post ID, I'm going to set the comment ID here. Okay, nice. Okay, so let me add a new bracket. Okay, so this will be our comment ID, and now I can come to my comment public class, in this case public sealed class, and I'm also going to inherit from entity and set here the comment ID. Okay, but normally a comment is associated to a post, so instead of referencing the post entity here inside the comment, I will just add the post ID. So I'm going to create a property and set it here post ID, and the name is going to be post ID. It's also going to be private set. Perfect. And now a comment has properties like the text or content. You guys can name the property. I'll name it content for now, content, and I'm gonna set private set. Okay, and now I will also create the private method constructor. Sorry, it's gonna have the comment ID string content. Okay, base ID, and here I'm gonna set content equals content. Okay, let's also create another empty constructor for entity framework because we're also gonna use it. And here I'm gonna create a public static comment create factory. So, and here I'm gonna receive the string content, and here I'm gonna return new comment, and here generate the comment ID dot create unique, and I'm gonna pass the content. So yeah, so pretty much this is our factory method to create a comment, and I'm gonna create public set public void set content. Let's change the content. Okay, perfect. So okay, so we pretty much have our two entities created, or in this case aggregates, the comment and the post. They inherit from entity, I didn't add the domain events. I'm gonna add it later because for now we don't really need it. But for now, this is pretty much our main entities that we have in the application, which will be the comment and the post for now. Okay, so let's go to our infrastructure layer because I'm gonna add the database here. So I'm gonna create a new folder called common, and inside the folder common I will create another folder called persistence, and here I will have the configurations related to our entities in our domain. So I'm gonna create another class called post manager dot not dot post manager context, and I'm gonna add the entity framework. So I'm going to nugget package, sorry. So I'm gonna type entity framework. We're gonna add entity framework core. Why is it okay? And I'm also gonna use SQL Server for our database, and I'm gonna use the design. I also need it. Okay, so I think for now this is all I need. Yeah. Okay, so this post manager context will inherit from DB context. Okay, and here I'm gonna initialize the database. It's gonna be DB options. I'm gonna pass it post manager context, so I will receive the connection strings and everything in this constructor. So it's gonna be options, and I'm gonna set here base options. Okay, nice. So let's add the project reference to our domain. So it's gonna be here domain. Okay. In here, I'm gonna add a public db set post. It's gonna be here. Oops, posts. Okay, and let's add for it comments. Db set comments get set. Okay, this is okay for now. I also need here, or in this case, I need to override the on model creation, because I will have a folder called configurations where I will set the configuration for these two entities and the others that will be created later. So I'm gonna override the on model creating. So it's gonna be on override on model creating. Okay, and here I'm gonna set here model builder dot apply configurations from assembly. In here I'm gonna type here type of post manager context dot assembly. Okay, this is pretty much what we need. Okay, and here inside the persistence I'm gonna create a new folder called configurations. In here, I'm gonna add the configurations for these entities that we have. So I'm gonna start off by creating a new folder called posts. In here, I'm gonna create the posts configurations. Okay, so it's gonna be public class post configurations. In here, I'm gonna add here the entity builder. Entity type builder. Yeah. In here, not entity type builder, sorry, entity type. I think just type and pass here post. Right, entity type. Sorry, entity type configuration, my bad. Okay, so now I have entity type configuration, post. In here, I will add the necessary configuration to work on this entity, on the post. Because my entity post is agnostic to that. He doesn't really know what database I will be using, doesn't know what type of configuration it will have. It just knows his properties and his setters. So yeah, so it's gonna be builder dot to table. So I'm gonna set a name here. It's gonna be posts. So I'm gonna add here builder has key, which is x.id, and here I'm gonna add a configuration, because if you guys remember, my post ID is a value object, so I need to use this method, or in this case tell entity framework, once he retrieves data from the database, I want him to create a post ID with this format, which will be the post ID. So to do that, I need to add here, so post builder has property, or builder property. Here I'm gonna add x.id, has name. I'm gonna change the name. So it's gonna be the name of this column, gonna be post ID. Has conversion. So I'm gonna pass here the conversion. So it's gonna be x dot value, and here value. It's gonna be post ID dot create, and I'm gonna pass here the x. Oops, not the x, but the value. So this is pretty much what the entity framework will do for us. And since I will be generating the GIDs inside my domain here, I don't need the database to generate, so I'm going to add here has no, what's the name, generation value never generated. Yeah, this is the name. Okay, so this is pretty much our configuration for our ID. Okay, so if you guys wanted, and if I had other properties inside the post, I could add configuration here, like for example, set it has a unique field so it doesn't repeat in database and everything else. I don't need to set it here inside the post. Okay, so we'll do the same for our comments. So I'm going to create a new folder called comments. I'm going to add here a comment configuration. Okay, I'm gonna add like this configuration, sorry. And here I'm gonna do the same. It's gonna be public entity. What's the name? I don't know why I keep forgetting. Entity configuration. Sorry guys. Entity configuration, and I'm gonna add here comments. Okay, let's add here. So here we're gonna do the same. So it's gonna be builder dot to table. It's going to be comments. Builder has ID. Not ID. What's the name? Has key. Sorry, has key. C dot ID. Okay, and now I'm gonna also do the same. So builder property. So it's gonna be the ID. C dot ID has column name. Oops, C dot, wait, why is it working? Okay, C dot has column name. It's gonna be comment ID value never generated, because I don't want the entity framework, in this case database, to generate it. And I'm gonna add has conversion. So it's gonna be here c.id. Oops. Not conversions, have. Wait, as conversion, why it's not working? Has conversion. Okay, see the value. Oh, my bad. Okay. Value. So it's gonna be comment ID dot create. I'm gonna pass here the value. Okay, nice. So nice. Okay, and we're also gonna do the same, but for our post ID, because if you guys remember, I have a field here called post ID. So we also need to do this for our entity. Okay, so I believe for our post manager context, we have everything set up. For our comments, we also have it set up. So what we need to do here is I'm gonna add a new class called dependency injection. So here we will inject all dependencies that our infrastructure will have. Okay, so let's set this as a public static class. So this is where we will inject every dependencies that we have, or in this case that the infrastructure layer has inside here. So let me create another method called public static service collection, and the name will be add infrastructure or infrastructure. In here I will pass the iService collection and services. Perfect. All right. Okay, so let me put this return services. Okay, in here I'm gonna add another method. It's gonna be private, so it's gonna be private static service collection, and the name will be add persistence. So if we have different dependencies, for example, this is for persistence, I could have for different services here, I will create it as static and call it here inside the add infrastructure. In here, what I will do is I will set here service dot add. I'll add the DB context, so it's going to be add DB context. I'm gonna set the name here, which is post manager context. Perfect. Okay. Options in here. I'm gonna add the configuration for the SQL server. So it's gonna be options.use SQL server. In here, I'm gonna set name equals connection strings default connection, because I will set this in the app settings here in the JSON, in the API, and whenever I start this project, I will reference the infrastructure, so this will be passed to my DB context. In here, he will receive it and use it as a connection string for the database. Okay. Okay, I think, oops, return services. Okay, let me add here, add persistence and pass here services. Okay, I think for now, this is, I will still need to come here to add the repository because we still haven't added that, but we will eventually. But for now, I think this is enough for the persistence, or in this case for the dependency injection. Okay. Now let's get into the application core, because this is where we will enforce the business rules. This is where we will put the business logic and work with our domain. So I'm going to create a new folder. Now before creating a new folder, I'm going to add here some packages here. I'm going to add mediatar because I will also use it here in the application core. So we're going to use CQRS. Let's add a little bit. Let's wait a little bit, sorry. Okay. Okay, so let me close this. So I'm gonna add a new folder called posts, and another folder called commands, and another called queries. Okay, I'm gonna add another folder called common because I will have here the contracts and interfaces that I might need. So I'm gonna create another folder called contracts, and another called persistence. And here inside persistence, I will add a new interface called iBase repository, because this will be implemented by all the repositories that we'll create. So it's going to be iBase repository. Okay. In here, what I will do is all aggregates or entities repositories are using value objects for IDs. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add here TID. So it's gonna be TID and T. And here I'm gonna do is where TID class, okay, where T is also class. Okay. In here I'm gonna add the most common functionalities that we use in repositories, which is add, update, remove range. I already have it here, so I won't type it manually, just so it can be quicker. Okay, so this is pretty much my I-based repository that I'll be using for the repositories that I'll be creating later. So I'm going to create another one for the post, so it's going to be post repository. Okay, and here I will set I-based repository. Oh, actually I forgot to add the project reference, so I need to add the domain reference. Okay, it's going to be post ID and post. Okay, so this is everything we need for the repository. I'm going to save, and I need to make this implementation. So I'm going to the infrastructure, persistence. I'm going to add a new folder called repositories. And here I will add the post repository. So it's going to be post repository. And here I'm going to set I post. Oh wait, actually I didn't add the project reference to here. Sorry guys. Okay, it's gonna be I post repository. Okay. Let me wait, why is it wait, let me check something here. Yeah, I knew it. My bad. I post. Okay, now it should be working. Okay, nice. Oops. Let me add the methods now. Okay. In here, I will receive the DB context, post manager context, DB context. In here, in the constructor, I will receive this DB context. Oops, let me just change the name here. Okay, so now here I'll just do the normal implementation. So it's going to be await DB context of add async entity await. Okay, so it's just this, nothing else. Return by D, it's going to be return await DB context dot we could use find async, it also works, but I will use post software p.id equals id first or default async. Okay. Oops, let me add here the cancellation token. Here I'm also going to do the same, so it's going to be await db context dot remove range. Actually, let me add here explicit, so remove range, remove async, sorry, and it's going to be entity. Oops. Okay, remove range, it's here, so it's pretty much the same. Let's remove range entities and the update here, so it's going to be the same. Dot update entity. Okay, so our repository is pretty much done. I'll just need to inject it here, so I'm gonna add here services dot add scope. So I'm gonna add here I post repository and pass here post repository. Okay, so our repository should be working fine now if we use it. Okay, but before we do that, we need to create our command. So it's gonna be, I'm gonna create a new command called register. So it's gonna be, or in this case, wait, I'm gonna create a new folder called create post, or create, you guys named it, I'm gonna name create post. It's gonna be create post command. Okay, public records, it's gonna be records, and here for the post, what I need is pretty much just the title and description. Will be in the next video description. I'll be adding some validation. We're gonna treat the errors, but for now I'm just gonna keep it like this. Okay, guys, so don't worry. And here I'm gonna add I request, and here I'm gonna tell the response. So I can respond the post itself, so it's okay for now. And here I'm gonna add the create post command handler. This will be the class that will be dealing with this create post. Okay, so here I'm gonna do the I request handler. I'm gonna pass create command, and here I'm gonna say the response will be a post. Okay. I'm gonna inject the repository. It's gonna be private, read only I post repository. Okay, so now here this will be handling the logic. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set here post equals post dot create. And here I'm gonna pass the request.title and request.description. Await post repository let's add async. We're gonna pass the post, okay, and then we're gonna return the post. Oh, sorry, I forgot to pass the cancellation token, my bad. Cancellation token, okay. And this pretty much this is all we need for now to create a post. Let me add the query to get all the posts. So it's going to be list post query. Wait, let me add the folder first. So it's going to be list posts. So it's going to be list posts query public record. So this is pretty much going to return all the posts that we have in our database. Oops, I actually pressed it to run the project, sorry. In here I'm going to return I request. It's going to be a list of posts. Okay, let me add here the query handler. So it's going to be list posts query handler. In here it's going to be I request handler list post query, and here I'm going to return a list of posts. Okay, so I can actually copy from here because it's pretty much the same. Okay, so this repository will be using to handle with the posts information in the database. In here, all I need to do is return await post repository dot get all. Wait, actually probably I didn't create the get all. So I created, maybe not. Oh wait, I didn't create the get all. Sorry guys. Task list t get all async. Actually, I thought I created. My bad. I can pass here the cancellation token. Okay, let me go to my repo here, add this new one. Okay, and we're gonna do return, await the context dot posts dot to list async, and here we're gonna pass the cancellation token. Actually, I'm gonna put here has no tracking. It's okay, because I'll only use this method to read. So okay, I can leave it like this, and now I can come here and set get all async and return this. Okay, so I think this is pretty much what we need for the post to create and read information. Now I need to add the dependency injection for the application layer. So it's going to be dependency injection. In here, I'm going to do pretty much the same what I did in the infrastructure layer. So it's pretty much like this. Return services. In here, what I'm gonna do, or in this case, what I'm gonna add is the add mediator configuration. So I just need to add it like this to register our mediator to work with the application core. And I don't think I need anything else for now for the application layer. And now let's go to the API layer. So this is where we will be dealing with, this will be the main entry point for our application. So let me create a new controller. So wait, before that, let me add the entity framework core configuration so I can run the database. I actually forgot about that. We still haven't created the database, so let me create it here. I just need the tools, so okay. And now, before we create the controllers, let's just add the configuration to our database. So let me just select infrastructure and set add migration init. So it should be working. Wait, server domain doesn't reference. Wait, let me set this as a startup project. My bad. Oh yeah, actually forgot. My bad. Let me add here the services.add infrastructure and paste here the configuration. Wait, let me set using post manager infra. Oh yeah, I didn't add the project reference. I think that's why it's not showing up. Let me add the application core too. Okay, so infrastructure. Why was it given an error? 2 arguments. Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, my bad. Okay, so I think for now this should be working now. The migration. Okay, I forgot to add the connection string, guys. So let me add the connection string. So this is pretty much all I need. So this is my connection string to my computer, my local host, the database name, and the password. I mean, you guys can leave out the password, whatever you guys want. This is just a generic one for my local host. Okay, and this is pretty much, I believe so, what I need. It should be working now. And yes, it is comments and posts. Perfect. So let's update the database. Okay. Let's just see the database itself. So it is here, post manager. So here we have it, guys. The posts and the comments. So okay, so the connection is working, and now we can start by creating our controllers. Let's create the post controller. Posts. Wait, I don't want to create like this. I want to add it here. New controller, web API. Okay, so now here, this is where we will call the commands and queries. So it's going to be private read-only iSender. In here, I'm going to call this mediator or sender, whatever you guys want to call it. I'm going to call it mediator, to be more explicit. Mediator. In here, I'm going to receive this, call this mediator, and set it here like this. Okay. So let's create our endpoint to create post and the endpoint to read all posts. So I'm going to set it like this. So HTTP post. Here's going to be public async task action results, and here I'm going to call this create. Normally we will receive an object with post information, but since the post only has two properties, I can pass it through here. So it's going to be string title and string content. Here I'm going to return okay, and the result, and here I'm going to add var command. It's going to be new create post command. In here I'm going to pass here the title and contents. Var result equals await mediator.send, and we're going to pass here the command. Okay, in here we're going to return results, and now I'm going to copy and then change. This is going to be the endpoint to get all. I'm going to remove all these parameters. This is going to be query, and new lists posts query. Okay, so this is pretty much what I need. So this should be working now, I believe. Let's create a post and test this out and see if everything is working correctly. Okay, so let's create a new post. That was going to be called domain driven design Reddit clone. Here is okay. Oh yeah, my bad. I forgot to call the application using post manager dot application core. I forgot to call here the build service dot add application or oh, the name, my bad, application. This is the problem with copy paste, guys. If you guys copy paste, this happens a lot. Okay, now it should be working. Okay, let's create domain driven design Reddit clone. Hey guys, in this video, getting a Reddit clone C#. Okay, should be working now, and here it is. Nice. And if we try to get all of them, we should be getting. Nice. So yeah, this is pretty much what we need. Let me just try another one. Okay, and let me get all. Yeah, okay guys, now so it's working. So I actually forgot to delete the weather forecast, but I will delete it soon. So this is pretty much what we need to work with our API using Clean Architecture, domain-driven design. Not really domain-driven design, we just applied some of it because we don't really have methods to and domain events to really do domain-driven design, but we'll add it in the next video. and we will do some changes because I don't want to receive these parameters here. I want to receive an object, and we'll also add authentication to our application. But for now, this is all working, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry for the mistakes. I'm trying to do this in one take and just building software like this. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed and have a nice day. Thank you.